Great day, everyone. My name is Nicole Messiah, and I have the honor and pleasure of serving as your DeKalb County Commissioner, District 3. Also the chair of PECS, Planning, Economic Development, and Community Services. Thank you so much and welcome to the PECS committee meeting today. I serve alongside with my other colleagues, Commissioner Long Spears from District 2 and Commissioner Robert Patrick from District 1. Recognized today along with is our Madam P.O. from District 4, Shakira Johnson, and also Commissioner Ted Terry, there you go, Drew Blank, from District 6. And so thank you so much, colleagues, for joining us. And with that, we will jump right in and go through the agenda as printed. We're on, for those following along with us, page 1, and that is agenda item 2026-0546, all commission districts, minutes for the February 26, 2026 Planning, Economic Development, and Community Services Committee meeting. If my committee members have had an opportunity to review those minutes, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 0546.
Second. All those in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. And we're going to jump down to the bottom of page 1, and there's an agenda item that is under GIS Department, and that's agenda item 2026-0491, all commission districts 4 and 7, in which we have the District Commissioner from District 4 here with us today, and that is a motion to consider consenting to the de-annexation of property located at 5499 Woodsong Trace, Stone Mountain, Georgia 30087. So, Commissioner?
I just, not in opposition to this, but wanted clarification. I don't think the agenda item clarifies that this property is trying to de-annex out of the city of Stone Mountain. So I just was curious if we needed to clarify that in the agenda item. We can update that. Okay. That was really my only question on it. It was just that clarification. Okay. He said they can update that.
All right. So just to be clear, that will be updated. So that is made abundantly clear.
Yeah, we'd be happy to do that. We'll offer a substitute at the regular meeting.
Okay, fantastic. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 0491.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, colleagues.
That motion is approved. You're more than welcome. The next, going back under the appointments, that is agenda item 2026-0442, all commission districts, the appointment of Mr. Sheldon Fleming to post 8 of the Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs Board. And my understanding is that Mr. Fleming is here with us today. Great afternoon, sir. And Janet, if you wouldn't mind. They provide. Let's see. There we go. We do have them right here. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So we have our interview packet, and we were just making sure we received that, so that we can go ahead and ask Mr. Fleming a couple of questions. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
For joining us here in PECS committee. And so I'd like to just jump in by asking, for you to formally just introduce yourself and describe any previous experiences or skills that you have that may be relevant to your service with the RPCA Citizens Advisory Board.
Okay. Thank you for the opportunity. I started my career off by working with the DeKalb and Fulton County Extension Service. From there, I became the horticulture manager for the City of Atlanta Parks Bureau, followed by a district manager position, and my district was Maddox Park and Chastain Park.
Okay. Fantastic.
And from there, some of you all may know where the Porter Sanford Performing Arts Center there used to be a garden there called Wonderland. I was the founder and executive director for that for 20 years with a contract from DeKalb County Parks. And I am currently employed with the City of Stonecrest Parks Department.
Fantastic. Well, that's very diverse. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And so Just as a brief follow-up, what do you perceive your roles, duties, and responsibilities to be in servitude of the RPCA Citizens Advisory Board?
Well, as projects come before the board, I see myself as the opportunity to speak for the community in regards to needs and what does it look like, and how well is the community being engaged in this process. And so being the community's voice, as well as because my background is what it is, I have a certain skill set that I think even from a professional standpoint, with director advice, I think I could lend a hand.
I appreciate that. Thank you. Commissioner Long-Spears, you're more than welcome to
Thank
take
you.
any question you might.
Of course. So nice to meet you, sir. Thank you for being with us today.
My pleasure.
My question is, as an appointee to the RPCA Citizens Advisory Board, CAB, what top priorities would you focus on during your tenure, and what outcomes do you hope to achieve as a result?
Would you repeat the question?
Sure. So it's a two-part question. Don't you love those?
Yes, thank you.
Part A is, what are your top priorities that you would focus on during your tenure on the CAB board? And second is, what outcomes do you hope to achieve as a result? So the priorities, and then what you're hoping to achieve with those priorities. That's a hard question. I realize that.
Yeah, that's
Should I
all
pick
over
another
the place there. I wish I had been given these questions earlier. But let me just say, you have active parks and you have leisure parks, and participation. We can create a park, but there's still, at the end of the day, we want participation. What is the impact? How is the community being served? What outcomes has the Parks Department looked at in terms of, is it active, is it leisure? Do you have the strollers, and the dog park in the same area? Community gardens, if you have community gardens and you have no one planting the vegetables, then should there be a community garden there? Outcomes, I think, at the end of the day, because again, as I mentioned, I work with the City of Atlanta, the City of Stonecrest Parks. Mm-hmm. And, back 20, 30 years ago, you had, crossroads, common grounds, where you could reach the people. You don't have that, now you have Facebook, and getting the information to the public isn't as easy as it used to be. And so I think having a participation in the parks is one of the outcomes that is going to be challenging. And how do we meet that? I can't really necessarily at this stage answer that, but I think that should be one of the goals.
Thank you so much. These are pre-scripted questions, and I realize that was a hard one. The reason I chose to ask that, though, is my predecessor was Jeff Rader, and he was in office for, who you probably know him, 16 years, and they did a lot of parkland acquisition. But because of the values in District 2, the land values, his suggestion to me coming into office is that I focus more on enhancements. And so I was just trying to kind of get your perspective on, if you could only do enhancements, because you can't, at least in my district, buy the land, is what enhancements, I guess, maybe this kind of a part C, do you think appeal to people now? More benches, birdhouses, that kind of thing. Do you have any wisdom to share on that?
Yeah, and that's why I mentioned the leisure, recreation. We do a wonderful job with active recreation. It's the leisure, that I think we're missing somewhat of a opportunity. We want those trailers, those strollers, that are spending that 2 hours in the garden. Playgrounds. We've got plenty of playgrounds. Those are easy ones, to hit. But just sitting down reading a book, leaving your computer home, reading a book, are those opportunities. Certainly, our canopies are really important. So are trees getting planted? Our city tree is the bald cypress. Well, a bald cypress is going to live to be 100 years old. Are we planting, our canopies, such that we have longevity, with our parks? Benches, absolutely. Again, the goal in my mind should be having a client in the garden for that 2 hours from a leisure standpoint.
All right, thank you, sir. I appreciate your thoroughness. I yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Long-Spears. Commissioner Patrick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Fleming, thank you for being here, first of all. Public service in these times can be a little challenging, and thank you for being willing to put your own time into this, so it's much appreciated. I'm going to give you, I hope, a softball. How do your personal values align with the mission of Parks and Rec?
Could you read the mission of the parks? Because I was not provided that information, but maybe I should have.
Well, I'll tell you what. How about this? What is it that you like about Parks and Rec in general? And you spoke a lot about the canopy, the need to replant the canopy,
Sure.
the idea of passive enjoyment at the parks. Put down your tablets and your devices and read a book. Take it from there.
Sure. I'm originally from Anchorage, Alaska. And so I grew up with the glaciers, behind my eyelids before there, they had restrictions and so forth. So being in nature is just who I am. And so I know the impact, of the role nature plays on the human body. And so again, we have a wonderful opportunity, the active recreation, but again, it's that leisure, for the therapeutic gardening. What does that tree, do for us? It's more than the shade, being grounded and so forth. So for me, I am one of these tree huggers, that when I'm walking through a garden, I'm looking to see how people are enjoying themselves. Are they laughing? Mm-hmm. There's nothing better to see than you have a couple at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on a Thursday, having a picnic. That's what you want. Again, stopping and smelling the roses is a physical action, and it requires creating the spaces, for our clients, to have those opportunities to sit on the grass, to sit on that bench, and allow Mother Nature to do what Mother Nature's here to do. So creating those spaces is a holistic opportunity, for Parks Department, that we should strive to meet.
That's a great answer, and I totally agree with you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Terry?
Yes, the only question I have for Mr. Fleming is, can you dig it? I want to hear more about your TV show.
Yes, I did have my 20 minutes of fame, so thank you. It became a good rerun.
Well, we have our own TV station here, DCTV, Channel 23.
I would love to.
Maybe we could bring something back like that.
I like what you're thinking.
All right, keep that in mind.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. With that, we all thank you again, Mr. Fleming, for being here today and your willingness to serve. And someone from staff will be back in touch with you. Thank you so much.
Yes. And let me just add one other
Yes,
piece.
of course.
I moved here in 1976. Okay. So I have been here. I've planted a lot of trees. I've planted trees that have matured in South DeKalb. So South DeKalb County is very dear, to me and my family.
Fantastic. As Commissioner Terry just shared, a lot of seeds.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
thank you again for your service and for being here and investing in so many ways in DeKalb County, particularly being willing to raise your family and spend your leisure time, your volunteer time, and everything else. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for the opportunity.
Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, sir. Thank you. The next, we're going to go through a couple more of the agenda items. For those following along, on page 2, we have at the top, agenda item 2026-0384, all commission districts a cooperative agreement for information technology products and services. That's Omnia Partners Contract Number 2024056-02 for the use by the Department of Planning and Sustainability, consisting of purchasing of the, and it says purchasing off, so we might need to make that correction, but purchasing of the competitive-led Omnia Partners contract for contract number 2024056-02 for implementation of a cloud-based short-term rental monitoring and compliance platform. Awarded to DeKalb Technologies, this request also seeks to ratify purchase contract number 5066515 for the amount not to exceed $120,720.43. And I see Ms. Bragg, or Deputy Bragg, coming. And again, congratulations to your promotion.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate
Yes.
that. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Raquel Jackson,
Okay.
who's going to tell you a little bit about the project.
All right.
We're happy to answer questions, but it is a very straightforward request.
All right, fantastic. Take it away.
Good afternoon. I am Raquel Jackson, and I am the project manager for the short-term rental implementation. So the county engaged with Rentalscape, which is powered by DeKalb Technologies, as our short-term rental compliance and management vendor. We selected this vendor through a cooperative purchasing agreement to expedite the implementation and ensure we met the May 20th deadline. This allowed us to move forward quickly with a proven turnkey system rather than going through the longer procurement process. From a functionality standpoint, the vendor will provide all of the items that we need. So a comprehensive platform that supports registration, permitting, administration of the 8% excise tax, as well as required by the ordinance. In addition, the system will identify and monitor short-term rental listings across the platform, support enforcement efforts, track complaints, and provide real-time reporting to staff and leadership. Ultimately, it places us in a position to better manage the short-term rental process as we go through the process to implement it.
Thank you so much, but I appreciate it. Just a quick question. And so you said managed complaints. In what way will the system manage the complaints?
So residents can submit a complaint online that will come directly to one of our staff members for us to then triage the complaint to determine if it's police, code enforcement, and from there we will send the code enforcement or make a request for code enforcement. If it's police, then in real time they will be instructed to contact the police, but for code enforcement type of complaints, that will come to us for us to triage and manage.
So we'll also have someone real-time monitoring capabilities to be able to help ascertain, who needs to be dispatched or how the
Yes,
issue
ma'am.
that comes in or complaint that comes in needs to be addressed.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, fantastic. Again, I think this is something that's great. I've had a resident that recently asked whether or not we had it. This was Saturday. We had an HOA, POA, COA boot camp, and there was a resident that asked whether or not we had implemented this system. Additionally, ahead of having the World Cup and some other sporting engagements coming into Georgia and DeKalb, inevitably, I think it's fantastic that we're getting this up and going. So thank you for all of your work. With that, Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for being here this afternoon. Appreciate your time. Just following up on the 911 calls. So you said the system will basically tell them to contact 911. Does it have something that can also give a heads up to the police department in advance?
So it will only identify 911 calls. So what belongs in 911, the wheelhouse of 911. It won't direct them to 911, but on the complainant form, it will say these are the types of events that warrant 911
Gotcha.
versus code enforcement.
I got you. Okay. All right. Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was at a recent online meeting, and they were talking about hotel bookings. And there's a way, I guess, through some type of database that they can monitor hotel bookings across the country or within a very specific area. Will this be able to track the amount of bookings that we have within the county? Is it something that can sort of project out all of the Vibrios and Airbnbs that we have available?
Yes.
And then say, hey, we're operating at 50% of capacity or 90% of capacity? It has that ability to do that?
Yes, so any online platform that is utilized, they will be able to pull from their database or to track their online listings, and then we'll be able to send a notification out to say, hey, you need to register with DeKalb County. So that's Airbnb, Vrbo, and your mom and pop, operations
Yeah.
that aren't as widely known as Airbnb and Vrbo, but it will be able to provide us with that real-time data.
Okay, I appreciate that a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Long Spears?
No questions.
Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I see the base product pricing. So it looks like they do have, I guess, like an outreach campaign component that's included, in a letter campaign to inform of STR legal operators regarding compliance requirements and procedures. So they'll be sending letters to the actual registered owners.
Absolutely.
Okay. And then is it only going to be letters, or are we going to make phone calls?
Letters for right now. So it's 2 rounds, I believe. The first, letting them know, and then there's a second, and then after that, they'll provide us the data as to who has not registered, and then we'll just have to, from a staffing perspective, determine the best way to manage that process.
Okay, gotcha. And then they're going to provide a tax payment portal.
Yes. So right now, we receive taxes from Airbnb and I believe Vrbo, but for those online accounts that aren't affiliated with those 2 companies, the applicant or the homeowner or the registered agent will be able to submit their 8% tax payments via that portal, and then we will receive the check on a monthly basis. I believe it's monthly.
Okay. Do we think that there's a lot of properties that would have to use this?
For as of right now, so we're going through the build out phase, and right now I believe they have identified at least 1,100 in unincorporated DeKalb County.
1,100 that are not like on the main platforms.
That are on the main platforms.
Okay, and we have like around 2,000 that.
It may be, but right now, because it's still in the build-out phase, they're still, trying to determine the true amount, and keep in consideration that as we approach, World Cup, you'll have more come online too. So
More will come online?
I believe so.
I don't know about that, Rachel. Got to get that change in for the homestead exemption. Okay, and then because it's a $120,000 contract, that's annual price?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and then are the fees that we're charging for the licensing, are those going to cover the cost?
Yes, it will.
They will?
Yes.
Okay. All right, let's monitor that.
Okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. And I just have a brief follow-up in terms of the access to the information, particularly as it relates to some of the potential offenders and challenges, those that may not be good stewards of the opportunity afforded to them with the registration, and essentially the capacity or the ability for the commissioners to be able to ascertain the information and be able to follow up, because inevitably if there is a problem, we're going to hear about it from constituents, from the neighbors, the folks in the community that are experiencing some of the challenges. And so is there a mechanism in which we can get some type of reporting or someone for us to reach out to get more details if there is a incident that takes place, or if we're getting a number of continued calls related to a property, and be able to have a system or something to follow up to have some other things that may need to happen take place?
Yes, ma'am. So we currently have a dedicated short-term rental inbox, and that is being managed by at least 3 staff members right now. So if there are complaints and you need immediate attention, someone will reply immediately. However, we will also come up with a plan to address your immediate needs outside of the short-term rental inbox, so that there's no, lag in response time.
Very encouraging. Thank you so much. Well, I don't have any other questions. Do you have anything else to add? Well, if there are no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 0384.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you so much. Just before we get too far, wanting to circle back to page 1 as it relates to the appointment. Reading agenda item 2026-0442. All commission districts, and this is for the appointment of Mr. Sheldon Fleming to post 8 of the Parks and Recs Cultural Affairs Board. With that, we've all seen his interview. I'm willing to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you so much. All right, going back to page 2, under, I should say, Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs, there we go. Agenda item 2026-0433, Commission District 4, CA Cooperative Agreement for Playground, Water, Play, and Aquatic Equipment, Site Amenities, and Outdoor Fitness Equipment with related accessories and services, Sourcewell Contract 101625-PLP for the use by the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs. Consists of purchasing through the competitively let Sourcewell Contract number 101625-PLP for renovations and upgrades to the amenities parks, playgrounds, and recreational areas. This request is for the replacement shelter at Lithonia Shelter and Lithonia Park Shelter and modifications to playground at Cedar Park, awarded to Play Power LT Farmington Incorporated for an amount not to exceed $134,170.97. Great afternoon, Mr. Bass.
Good afternoon. We recommend approval for this item. This is a cooperative agreement with Playworks to replace the shelter at Lithonia Park that was burned down. It also includes adding the additional playground elements for Cedar Park renovation.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Is there any questions from any of the committee? Commissioner Longspears.
I don't have any questions, but I did want to, from me to you, formally to say welcome aboard. We have just spoken very, very briefly a couple of times. And commissioners, have y'all noticed his email address? It's cbass. I love it. Anyways, welcome aboard, and I very much look forward to working with you. Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Longspears. Commissioner Patrick.
Again, no questions. I didn't realize you were a fisherman, but it's always great to have sportsmen in the Parks and Rec department. So
that's right.
District 1 needs more parks, just so we can start that out. And I look forward to talking with you more directly on some other items as well. Thank you for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry.
Oh, yes.
Can't beat that.
No gag gifts. Is that like a singing fish on a wall thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's a Christmas gift you might get. I was just curious, I was trying to go through the agenda item that's kind of detailed. What are the Cedar Park playground changes?
So there's, that park is currently under renovation, so
Yeah.
it's adding some additional playground components, the slides, the swings, to that particular park to go ahead and finish that one for completion.
Okay, gotcha. The packet has a bunch of, a lot of, is there just like a picture or like an image or something you can share with us?
Yes, sir.
What it is?
Yes, sir, we can send you that rendering.
Or maybe it's just this little slide thing, right? These little, it's basically that.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Okay, so they're just adding that into the design. Okay, thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. The next is also a Park and Rec item. That's 2025-1759, Commission Districts 4 and 7. Park Pride Atlanta Incorporated Grant for Wade Walker Park.
All right, so for this one, we're recommending approval as well. This is to accept the grant funds from Park Pride for the purpose of installing wayfinding signage at Wade Walker Park. And that grant total is $47,000.
And just so I'm clear, there's no match from the county?
There's no match for this.
Fantastic. With that, are there any questions from committee members?
Just a comment, Madam Chair.
Yes, Commissioner Patrick.
Unfortunately, I was not able to attend the Park Pride event this past weekend, but partnerships with organizations like Park Pride is valuable. Obviously, $47,000 is not a small commitment of money to the community, so I'm grateful we still have that partnership, and I'm great that Park Pride is there as an organization. Thank you.
Agreed. Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Long-Spears?
Thank you very much. So I'm just reading through the item and just want to make sure I'm clear. So the item states it shall not exceed $150,000, but it's for a 3-year term. Is that how you got to the, would you say $47,000 annually?
Yes, ma'am. That's how we got to the total from Park Pride.
Okay. All right. Very good. Just wanted to be crystal clear. Thank you. Yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Long-Spears. Commissioner Terry? All right. And seeing no other further questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve 1759.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The next agenda item is 2026-0409. All commission districts, approval of a contract between DeKalb County government and the DeKalb County School District.
May I make a quick point of clarification? I apologize, Director Bass. I was actually reading from this item, 0409, not 1759.
Right. Okay.
So please disregard my previous comments. Yield back.
Thank you so much. And all commission districts, the approval of a contract between DeKalb County government and the DeKalb County School District. Mr. Bass.
Yes, ma'am. So we are recommending approval for this item as well. This is for our annual contract for school transportation for our summer camp program. The school system traditionally have allowed us to use 16 of their school buses for our team members to transport our kids over the summer for summer camp programs, field trips, activities, and things of that nature. And one change this year is this is a 3-year agreement versus the annual agreement. So it goes through 2028.
Nice. So that means we don't have to renegotiate next year, and we have it ongoing and making sure that we have that transportation option for the students. Fantastic. I love hearing that. With that, I will open the floor up for committee members. Commissioner Patrick.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I have for several years been wanting to have some type of a summer camp program at Pleasantdale Park as a sort of a pilot program within the district. How can we have a conversation with the Board of Education to see if we could use one of their schools in particular for summer camp, and then find out what the cost would be associated with that? And they have some programming, maybe some outdoor activities during the morning hours, some lunch, and then some activities in the evening until their parents are able to pick them up for the day. How can we have those conversations get started?
Yep, this comes at the perfect time. We actually have a 4-hour work session to talk about summer camp this Friday with our internal team.
Okay.
So what we'll do is see what we can come up with, identify a potential location, and put some numbers together, and then see what the school system would be open to doing, and then bring a recommendation for.
Okay. And the reason I say Pleasantdale is that's an area that to my view, hadn't had a lot of attention or investment over the previous years. And we've managed to put in like traffic lights, we've got pedestrian crossings, we've done some cleanup within the community. And this right here to me would be another great thing for that community. There's a phenomenal amount of apartment complexes, and those kids would be able to safely cross the street to get to the school. They're already familiar with the school, as well as, I should say, there's also some single-family residential neighborhoods nearby that, again, it'd be very convenient, easy walking to get to those schools, and a great opportunity for those kids to have something better than cell phones and tablets to play with over the summer.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We can do some research and we'll get back to you.
Please. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Long-Spears. You have anything else? Commissioner Terry? All right. And just to note, and I'm going to respectfully ask that the amount be in the agenda item next time. So the contract amount shall not exceed $150,000 according to the details we have in our agenda packet, just to make the public aware of that. And that's all the questions and comments. I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve, 0409.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you so much. And let me see, I think we might have one additional. That's it. That's all Parks and Recs. Thank you so much, Director Bass, for being here, as always.
Yeah.
The next agenda item comes from the Office of the CEO. That's 2026-0458. All commission districts authorizing $9,067,525.00 of SPLOST 2 funding for facilities improvements, including excuse me, the roof and HVAC system repairs replacement for DeKalb County physical and mental health facilities. Mr. Kingsbury and COO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And while Mr. Kingsbury comes up, I believe we have a substitute item that we will be presenting that incorporates a few more items as expressed not only from our facility condition assessment, but also from our conversations with both Claritel and the Department of Health. So what we'll be looking to do is present a list of items that we're gathering that will. Okay, so we're going to be distributing the paper copies, and what it does is essentially goes through each of the facilities and all of the items that we'll be looking to have repaired or replaced.
Here comes the paper copy.
Okay, Mr. Kingsbury.
I think, yeah, you'll find it pretty self-explanatory as she hands it out. So this allows us to fix the roofs, the elevators, HVAC, and all the deferred capital items those 8 buildings needed. If you go to the very back page, I think, or maybe it's just a one page. Yeah. And we'll let David walk through the individual line items. Get better eyesight than I do.
Okay. So the first page shows, let's see, let me get on page 1. The first page shows it starts with the Richardson Health Center, and it goes down through each health facility, and it shows what's needed. Like Richardson Health Center has a replacement of a HVAC unit, condenser pumps lead, modernized 2 elevators, re-roofing, parking lot repairs. And then there's a project assessment report, and if you go down at the bottom down there on page 1, it shows that there is $1.6 million that's going for interior refresh for painting, carpet tiles, minor repairs, restroom refresh, door locks, hardware, ceiling tiles, and that amount is divided up among the buildings. Page 2 shows the breakdown of the roofs. The first tab shows the DeKalb Crisis Center at 451 Way. That one's actually, Claritel has started a project there, and they need this $1 million in funds to finish that project. And then it shows roofs, HVAC systems, elevator modernization, parking repaving, new security, the interior refresh, LED lighting, and the total is right at $13.5 million, and that would take care of all the needs of the health facilities. The pages 3 through 10 are the breakdown for each building.
Thank you, David. And I think we also, I see BJ back there. Wait, okay, and Claritel. I'm sorry. And our friend with Claritel. I forgot. I apologize. No. Right. So we've had a number of discussions. We've gone through. We've done the facility condition
Is he coming
assessment.
up? Claritel, is he coming up?
Yeah. I mean,
please. Thank you.
And this what you see is a result of conversations between facilities, SPLOST, Claritel, and Department of Health. These are the needs for the health facilities.
Right, the person is not
apologize. Give me one more.
Dr. Chester.
Dr. Chester, yes.
You're not Dr. Jackson.
So, would you guys like to say anything? real
Yes,
quick?
please, thank you.
I'll just say we want to thank COO Zach Williams here. We're definitely needing these much needed infrastructure repairs. Our staff, our patients, our clients, this is probably one of the biggest complaints we get.
Yes.
I would say on a weekly basis, something about the HVAC. Right now, East has water coming in through the floors, so hopefully it's not sewage. You know, this is just my kind of daily life that we're living right now, so these are much needed repairs that are just needed.
All right, again, I'm Dr. Chester on behalf of Claritel, and I can ditto much of what BJ is saying. We just brought in a new hire orientation class yesterday, and they had no air. Yes, they had no air. We are continuing on with our renovations of the DeKalb Regional Crisis Center, and as we continue to take down walls, we find new things. One of our support beams was actually rusted through. So not only is that's a serious life safety issue, and we've already repaired that, and we continue to find things such as that, like one of the units is completely out at the crisis center, but we still have to continue to serve individuals. Our kitchen equipment doesn't work. We've had to bring in basically residential freezers at this point to keep the food cool. So we're not asking for, you know, things that we don't really need. These are things that are much needed for us to be able to continue to provide services for the individuals here in the DeKalb County area.
Thank you so much. And to that end, just a quick question, because I see, for instance, the modernization of the 2 elevators. What's the condition in general of the elevators, and what modernization efforts are going to be made?
The 2 elevators at Richardson, is that the ones you were talking about?
No. Well, yes, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, the elevators modernization includes upgrades to renew the equipment and bring it up to standards. Those elevators at Richardson and at West DeKalb Mental Health Center, they're both aged elevators. They're approaching their useful life. So 25 years is about what you get with an elevator.
And how
But
many?
they're operational right now.
All right. So 25 years, and what's the age of them presently?
They're right at 25 years,
Okay.
maybe a little bit more.
All right. And then in terms of the Department of Health itself, I understand some of Claritel, but in terms of Department of Health, where specifically, what's the total there? Because I think you just gave the total in terms of Claritel, but the Department of Health.
You're talking about Richardson or Crisis
Yeah.
Building?
It's not
The Crisis Center
Yeah.
is $1.25 million for the repairs there.
All right, so 1.25, and
Yes. Or right at $1,295,000, I'm sorry.
okay. I'll open the floor for colleagues. Commissioner Long-Spears.
Thank you very much, and I agree, there is certainly a need for repairs with Claritel and Department of Health facilities, so thank you for that focus. I do have some questions, though, regarding the SPLOST 2 proposed expenditure. So if I'm understanding you clearly, is that the original item was at $9.387 million, and then it has increased to roughly $13.5 million. You said you'd prepare a substitute for the business meeting, correct? The next business meeting?
Yes, ma'am. And
Okay.
I can speak to the...
Then I'm going back to the SPLOST 2 project list that was approved by the voters for the physical and mental health facilities at $15 million. So this $13.5 million would leave $1.5 million in that line item, plus or minus.
Approximately, yes.
Left some for contingencies and overruns.
So initially, discussions were around using that $15 million for a crisis center. Has there been conversations with Claritel, who runs our crisis center, that the funding that was going to be allocated for a crisis center over the course of the next, four? It'll be 4 years come March 31st? April 1 we have left? Is it 4 years left
Yes,
of
yes,
SPLOST?
I think
Okay,
so.
that's what I think. 4 years left of SPLOST. So has there been conversations that
Yes.
we're
so-
losing all of that money?
Well,
Not losing, but
Right,
it's being,
exactly. You're right.
yeah,
So, yes,
redirected over for
absolutely.
HVAC and
Right.
other
Right,
repairs.
and Dr. Chester is
Okay.
with Claritel, and Fabio has been at the meetings, as has Dr. Chester, as has Dr. Paxton and BJ. Yes, so everyone is crystal clear that in the SPLOST, there is only this allocation. But we have all come to the conclusion that these needs are pressing and need to be addressed, and the likelihood, quite frankly, of building a facility, I just don't think that that's something that has the requisite support, has the necessary funding, and time is not going to assist us with these issues. So, you know, our professional opinion is let's address these issues with this funding.
Okay. Thank you very much. I will certainly circle up with Claritel and may have additional questions either prior to the next business meeting or at the meeting itself.
Yes, ma'am.
Just confirming everybody's on the same page
Yes, ma'am.
with that. All righty, thank you so much. Yield back.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Long-Spears. Commissioner Patrick?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. This is a large request to begin with at $9 million, and then it's gone up to $13 million.
Right, yes.
Um,
Can I? Yes. And the gone up to, I think, is really, so when we did the initial facility condition assessment, I believe all of these items were listed. We initially came forward with these are the roofing items and the HVAC items, and there were certain items, quite frankly, that the Department of Health and Claritel had expressed interest in that we hadn't included. After meeting with them and talking more, quite frankly, I felt it would be pointless to not address all of the issues that are known because there is no fluff in here. So let's go on and, you know, be aggressive, quite frankly, and bring all of our facilities up to a standard that we can be proud of. And so that's how it went from 9.5 to 13.5.
And so my question was going to be, because this is over the $3 million threshold, at least for PWI, is there a time crunch on this? And could we have Mr. Campbell just
Right.
do his usual double check on things?
We absolutely could. And I don't know that if it's, we've done that already. I thought we had. Has he sent, he's good?
Supported the original amount. I haven't heard back
Oh.
about the appeal amount.
Okay.
It's in progress.
Right, so he supported the original amount. We have not heard back on the
Okay.
additional.
I guess a question for the committee is would you be comfortable if we approve this on the assumption that we get Mr. Lavoie Campbell's report back in time for the 14th is our next BOC meeting? Is that correct?
And yes, and I can't imagine that he would not, but yes, if you
And then if it comes
approve
back unsupported,
contingent,
Defer it.
another substitute of some sort
Yeah,
would come
yeah.
along. So that way it's still moving. I don't want us to have structural issues as the doctor mentioned, as
and
well
here-
as, my mental health needs air conditioning in the summer.
well, and
Sorry to say.
that's
So
what I was going to address.
It might help other folks if that
Right, so
stuff
if you-
is there.
Right, if you do keep it moving, because I can just see now, I don't have a crystal ball, but HVAC, you know, although it's
Yeah.
only
Oh, yeah.
March, but the sooner we get
Sure.
that moving, the better.
Yeah, agreed.
And so I'm more comfortable with, you know, since the original amount came back out of audit, then approving that amount and then coming back with the additional amount and having those specifically. And it'd be great to be able to have Fabio back here as well along with. So I'm comfortable with the original amount. It came back substantiated and from audit, and it's going to address the major issues, including the roofing and the HVAC, which is definitely, you know, it's already hot out there. So I'm comfortable with that and have you guys come back on the rest. Yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So if the board would approve what is before them, or the committee recommends what's before them, understanding that we've already requested Mr. Campbell to look at the substitute, and if he approves it or supports it between now and the board meeting, we would be in a position to present the substitute at that time. Does that work?
And what happens if it's not substantiated?
Well, then we go with
It comes back.
the 9
Come
million.
back to 9 million.
Right, and so that's why I'm saying I'm agreeing with what you're saying, but recognizing that there's a substitute out there. It works.
Committee.
That is a common practice in PWI, and if there's ever any questions, then it would get kicked back to committee. So
That's fine, but
if we're comfortable, I think that'd be a way to go forward.
that's fine.
I'm okay with that, too, because our next business meeting is not till April 14th.
Right.
So
And you guys knew that we were going to ask about an audit as it relates to the difference, and so needing to substantiate the total amount, especially with that uptick versus what had been presented. With that, I'll entertain a motion.
Right, motion to approve.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Terry, my apologies.
Thank you. Just real quick, thank you for the opportunity, Madam Chair. So I wanted to acknowledge in the budget, there are several LED lighting retrofits. So I think it would be good, I assume that's a similar contractor we did for the Maloof building where we sort of looked at the energy savings. So if we could, if you don't mind, just pull out the potential cost savings.
Offset costs, absolutely.
With the LED lighting and
I hear voices.
Siri
I hear voices.
is not sure about that one. Definitely support the parking lot repairs because I know at several of the facilities there were like really massive,
Yes.
like, not
Yeah.
potholes, but like little
Crevices.
ponds.
Yeah, absolutely.
The generators, it looks like there's just one generator at the crisis center. Are there any other generators that I'm missing?
Yes, most of the facilities do have generators, especially the Board of Health. For their pharmacies, they do have backup generators.
Okay, and we've had this conversation with the data centers about sort of the class, I think they're class 4 generators that are sort of the ones you have to test the least amount. They have sort of better emission standards. So are we, what type of generator are we projecting for the crisis center, line item 2.3.3?
Let's see.
And you can get that information later. I'm just.
Yeah, we can provide that later. We'll have to look into it.
Okay. Okay, and if it's like a lot more, just help us understand sort of the difference if a class 4 costs more. It seemed like the air quality measurements or metrics were better. And since we're dealing with generators near public health facilities, it might make sense to try to pick the most sort of cleanest air version. And then this may be a little bit crazy for me to say, but I see there's 3 EV chargers for the crisis center for $33,000. That seems kind of low, though. I thought you had to like run conduit, and I thought that was a lot more expensive if you have to. But is the lines already there, and it's just installing a charger?
It could be. That facility is actually a raised facility. It's got a parking deck underneath.
Yeah.
So it could be that it's
already there.
Yeah, the
So it'd be
infrastructure's there close
under the
by.
deck, basically.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I was just curious. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry. Patrick.
Thank you. Just a follow-up question. So we come back April 14. What's the turnaround time to begin the construction, and then what's the time frame for the actual project itself?
I will say it like this, we're going to move as quickly as possible.
Okay.
And the beauty is these are varied projects with a number of on-call contractors. So literally if contractors haven't already started walking the space, they can do that between now and the 14th.
Okay, all right.
Get the AC
All right.
Get the AC working.
And yeah, right, because summer's coming early, it seems. Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So I'll make a motion to conditionally approve the $13 million on the assumption that we have the report from Mr. Campbell's department in time for our April 14 BOC meeting.
Second.
And it's substantiated, the amounts are substantiated.
Oh. Say again. Oh, so the one question I would have on the generators is, because
I'm sorry, can you come back really briefly? There's one additional question in terms of generator from Commissioner Patrick.
Yeah, just a question on the generators. So as Commissioner Terry referenced, we've been hearing that level 4 generators are the way to go. But I've also heard that there's a backlog on those. So can you give us, I know you guys have a time frame to execute, but but let us know what the best we can get within the construction timeframe, if that's possible.
Oh, sorry. I'll have to research that and see what the time frame is. I'm going to have to look and see what the specs are on this particular generator they've got spec'd out. So
Okay, all right.
We'll let you know that.
Thank you much. Appreciate it.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. With that, thank you. I think we're all set now. We have a conditional approval. We had a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. And the next agenda item is from Board Commissioner District 1. Well, you know what? We'll circle back to page 1 before we get into our commissioner-led initiatives here. And we have a county operational assessment from M&J specific to the PECS committee and those PECS departments. So I just want to make that reference because I know we've seen a few thus far, but this is specific to the department under the PECS purview. Great afternoon and welcome back.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for having me back. I will be efficient with time, to your point, and I'll skip to the countywide dashboard insights and then move directly into the insights for the PECS department. PECS aligned departments, and in this case, the departments that were included in the operational assessment that will be up for discussion or that I'll be providing a status update on are code enforcement and planning and sustainability. All right, another one feels okay. Just the county-wide view before we dive into the PECS specific department. So as it stands in that report, there were over 266 operational improvement recommendations across the 19 departments that were assessed. 59 have been met, 11 recommendations remain blocked, and over 123 recommendations require some sort of additional support in order to progress them. Okay. As it pertains to the PECS committee, code enforcement and planning and sustainability again, a total of 41 recommendations here. 9 have been reported as being met so far. We have 0 recommendations being reported as blocked, and 9 recommendations, ironically, also being reported as requiring some sort of additional support in order to progress forward. Okay. So as it pertains to these 2 departments across the board, the 3 most emergent issue areas were governance issues, org structure challenges, and training deficiencies. In the appendix of your printed report in the back, there are now definitions to describe what we mean or what Malden and Jenkins meant when they developed these categories. All right, this projected implementation timeline for the PECS committee looks very similar to many of the timelines that we've seen in the other committees. And what we've discussed so far is our desire to support departments with finding ways to accelerate the implementation of some of these recommendations that you are seeing on the screen being reported as deferred or anticipated to be complete, mostly in 2027 and beyond. One of the ways we intend to enhance this report the next time we come and see you all next quarter is to identify the quarters in the year, so we know when departments are reporting that they anticipate they will complete a recommendation in 2027, are we talking about the first half of the year, for example, or is it closer to 2028? We'll give space for departments to align their projected timelines to a quarter anytime from this summer through 2028. Okay. So the support needed by type, this is always like sort of an interesting breakdown to understand how we could potentially support departments in this committee with more rapidly, rather, implementing these recommendations. We notice cross-departmental support in addition to additional funding. and staffing together represent a majority of the identified resource needs. I've mentioned this before. On the operational side, we're working on making recommendations and even implementing new management practices to better enhance cross-departmental collaboration across the board this year. So that's something we're working on. And then we've at length had the discussion around items that were reported by departments as requiring additional funding. Both the Office of Management and Budget and the COO's office, and in conjunction with ourselves, we are working with departments to sort of evaluate and assess those needs further, and we'll be able to provide additional details in the next report. All right, a summary of insights. So some interesting points specific to code enforcement and planning and sustainability. Most of the recommendations that were reported, self-reported as requiring funding, are also self-reported as requiring training or staffing support. And so that's an area, that's something unique that we hadn't seen come up in some of the other committee reports. And so we'll do our due diligence to try to get a better understanding of what specific training needs are required. For example, if these are central training needs coming out of human resources or something more specific to the function of the department. So we'll try to get a better understanding there. And of course, you know, staffing support is evident as well. We know some departments put in requests for new roles, et cetera, in the most recent budget. But in the next conversation where we do our best to understand these needs further, we'll try to dissect the additional type of support required. Number two is most of the staffing needs identified were reported by the Planning and Sustainability Department. I know that they've got a variety of different initiatives that are underway, and they've been making a lot of progress. So that's just a note that, you know, of the 10 recommendations that require staffing, 8 belong to planning and sustainability, and 2 belong to code enforcement, respectively. Number 3, up to 10 recommendations that are currently reported as expected to generate at least some cost savings, which is great. With most of them coming from planning and sustainability, we'll be, you know, monitoring this closely. This is exciting. We are asking departments to self-report operational efficiencies that are yielding cost savings. We have not yet gathered information about the quantity or projected quantity, but that is information that we intend to collect in the future.
Just so I'm clear, so we don't know the specific amount of what the cost savings would be. Okay. All right.
Yeah, and we did not ask the departments that, just to be clear, and we intend to in the next cycle. So as time goes on, we should be able to bring specific numbers, which is going to be exciting.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely. And then number 4 says resource needs for recommendations targeted for 2027 vary. Including waiting for, and this is an interesting one, so waiting for some larger anchor initiatives to be completed, such as the pay and class study and the OPAL implementation. That's some of the additional information that was self-reported by departments as why some recommendations are held up. Perhaps you might see them in progress because they have dependencies, is what that says. Let's see. And that I'll conclude there and open it up for questions if there are any questions about the insights for this committee.
All right. Commissioner Patrick?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good to see you again.
You as well.
From last week to this week. First, I just want to start by saying that District 1 held a town hall, and it was primarily focused around sustainability as well as code enforcement and a little bit of the courts and the legal process. Director Tonza Clark was good enough to attend the Saturday event. The residents love code enforcement. The idea that this is a friendly group of people that can come through and help get a neighborhood back to the nice condition it was in the past, I think that's something that everybody really gets behind. So to the extent that if there is a request for funding support for training for some of their equipment, I haven't had a chance to read through everything that you had detailed out here, but reading the overall report that you put out, I guess, last year, Again, code enforcement is a phenomenally important department. They are the friendly folks that can help clean up a neighborhood. And in my experience, you know, they can do a lot of things on the friendlier side than what the police department is able to do. And I love the police department still. But code enforcement is really, truly that much of an important resource. So thank you for this. I think that, you know, as you said, training is a large component of these improvements, and if we can get that done, I think there was some talk about equipment as well, radios, making sure everybody can communicate with one another. Then I think, if I remember, there was a conversation about making sure that code enforcement is engaging with other sister departments to sort of achieve their mission as well. Those are a lot to do, and in a short time frame that you guys have laid out is a big task, but whatever you need to be able to support to get to that mission successfully, please know I'm going to help you out. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Longspears.
No questions. Thank you.
Commissioner Terry.
Yes, I haven't had a chance to go through all of the updates. I just saw a couple I wanted to flag here. COD R23. It says the risk control manager should reconvene the county-wide safety committee. This is under code enforcement, although I think we call it code compliance, actually. But then the context is about radio checks and computer aid dispatch. It might be a misprint, maybe. It seems like it's talking about a different category. So maybe it just got, the spreadsheet got messed up. And then it looks like COD R24 might be related to a finance department thing, because the context is talking about like what code compliance like wears out in the field. So maybe just a quick check to see make sure all the fields are aligning, and you know, there's a lot of them. So if we can get just get the updated, or if you could just like send like the spreadsheet for like all of them, and then I'll just start to go through them, because we don't have time to go through all of the things here. But yeah, I'd love to, now that I think it's the last committee you've presented that? Okay, yes, I'd love to
this month
kind of have the one spread until next quarter, the one spreadsheet with the tabs maybe for all of the
the detailed recommendations in the appendix is what you're referencing?
Yeah,
Okay.
just in like one document if that's possible, and then that'll give us time maybe to kind of just go through it in one place.
Sure, and just wanted to confirm, Commissioner Terry, the two recommendations you said to check and ensure they were assigned correctly?
Yes.
CODR23 and CODR24?
I believe that's right. I lost a page already, sorry.
I documented that, so we'll check and review the recording.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Patrick.
One more follow-up question. So from all of the different committee reports or committees that you've been to, is there a way that you could sort of compile all of the different things that are in these Excel spreadsheets into one document where we can send it out to our residents more conveniently, as opposed to these large chunks, and then I think that would be helpful.
A summarized version, a public-facing summarized version.
Right.
This is actually something that we were talking about following last week, and we just wanted to wait till we got through all of the committees, and so work with COO to try to consolidate this, and then hopefully have a follow-up to disseminate that. But I think that's a great idea, and I know that request came through. We want to be able to provide that across the board, so for sure.
And I like how you guys have laid it out. It's very bullet point oriented, so a specific charge, and then to talk about how to get it implemented. I think that's very, very helpful. So thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Has everyone had an opportunity to? All right, any other questions or comments? All right, so just briefly, yes, I think it'd be exceptionally helpful. Looking forward to get that tabulated document. I'm just always curious as to the recommendations that were rejected.
Okay.
And there have been some conversations in prior committees as to, you know, what led to that. We talked about some of the financial implications. And even though I participated virtually, shared that we essentially funded what we were asked to fund, and where there's an opportunity to maybe put a little bit of our money where our mouth is, where we really want to see it done, maybe use the resources that we have directly from our budgets to try to implement where at all possible. But with that, there is a list in terms of the expertise in applying a specialized tool. And one of the things that was realized is that there's not that benefit of the of technology and a continual system to be able to be utilized in terms of tracking and the officers' utilization and being able to record and access that information, particularly when they may go to court. And so that could lend it to having ineffective or even documentation that isn't completely there that they may need, that's missing. So in terms of the recommended rejected items, do you go into details in terms of the cost associated or a plan or a policy in terms of implementing these particular recommendations, again, to the extent that a commissioner is willing to take the initiative or the cost to get these things going? Is there a way for you to provide that if it's not a part of, well, it's not a part of what we have presently, but is that something you assess, or what would be necessary to go into that detail?
Sure, yeah. So currently in the process, we are asking for departments to self-report. Obviously, to this stage, we've asked them to self-report what they accept, the status of that, and whether or not they reject it. In the instances where they're asked if they reject a recommendation, we ask them to justify the rejection. And I believe that should be also included in the appendix if there are recommendations that were rejected associated with this report. But that is the process. So we asked them to provide justification. The next step in the process is actually for us to take an inventory of all of those rejections, and in a few weeks we actually submit those to the COO for his own review, discussion directly with the departments. And what we could do is in our next BOC report next quarter, we can come back with the COO's recommendations on his review on what was rejected, and then open the discussion up item by item from there if you'd like.
Yeah, and actually I would like a copy of the rationale for the rejections. That's not a part of our appendix, and to the extent that's shared with the COO, again, in the spirit of trying to remedy things as much as possible, particularly when we're talking about code enforcement and planning sustainability, and that being one of the higher areas of challenges and opportunities, I will say, when it comes to constituents and where we're hearing it in so many different ways. I would like to have immediate access to the rationale behind rejections and how we can, particularly resolve that, and I can be of aid to doing that.
Absolutely.
No problem. No problem there, right, COO? Right? All right. Yeah, because we're paying for this. We're paying for the study. We're paying for the implementation, right? As Board of Commissioners, we're funding it, and so where there's recommendations that are being rejected that were made, then we should arguably have access to what recommendations were not implemented and to understand why not. So.
It's data we're tracking, so we'll gladly pull it.
Right.
Please, thank you.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking in terms of the final disposition, because there may be some that are currently showing as rejected that may ultimately not be rejected.
Sure, and we'll be able to track those as well. So, but to be able to have it, we'll of course be able to track where something had been implemented and ask you as a follow-up if we need to, or you be able to provide us an update, or when M&J comes back and provides us with another update, we'll be able to have that too. So, all right. Well, are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I appreciate you again for coming and being here today.
Absolutely. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next agenda item that we are going to address is, for those following along, page 3, And we are at the Board of Commissioners, and we're going to go to District 2, and that's Agenda Item 2026-0385, all commission districts, a resolution of the governing authority of DeKalb County, Georgia, urging adoption of the Unhoused Support and Services Plan, establishing implementation and expectations and accountability, and for other lawful purposes. Commissioner Longspears, you're the sponsor of this item. Go right ahead.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate, Madam Chair, you taking this item out of order because I do have to leave shortly. But just a little background and context on this item. We had a behavioral health design team, basically a planning committee that ran for several months and came out with some behavioral health recommendations. That stakeholder group agreed to also continue their work focused on unhoused plan recommendations. And so there was over 24 stakeholders involved with that process, and it was led by a lady named Carol Dotson. So the resolution that was initially submitted was the list of recommendations and their ideas around a plan from the stakeholder group. Today, I distributed to all of you guys up here a substitute which does incorporate suggestions from Dr. Ferguson and Dr. Ferguson and Dr. Director Ferguson and Director Mitchell. So thank you so much for taking the time to both of you gentlemen to go through this. And so, Dr. Ferguson, if you wouldn't mind coming to the podium and talking a little bit about the changes that you made, but while you're making your way up here, is that there are 8 work group core recommendations that have been featured in all of the items so far. So the original, I think we had 1 sub and then a second sub. I think it's where we might be in the legislative process. But he did have some great recommendations, and I thought it would be best if you to speak to what you asked that we amend and remove, and I'm in full support, Dr. Ferguson, of everything that you suggested to us. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. And I'm going to actually ask if Director Mitchell will come as well, because I know that he did have some input and we might have some questions for him as well. So I'm going to ask him to come also.
Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair of PECS Committee, as well as Commissioners here for having an opportunity to speak on this. So, Commissioner Spears, as you mentioned, the stakeholder group came and they presented, their plan, January 6, 2026.
Yes, sir.
At that particular point in time, I said, it's great. We really hadn't had a chance to digest it, but that we would review it and we would try to incorporate it, in the things we do in the path going forward in terms of opening up housing opportunities, really for all DeKalb residents, and that includes, the homeless and the underhoused, here in DeKalb County. So, with that having been said, for this particular resolution, that's the ultimate goal. We want to take, what they presented in their plans, the 8 recommendations, that they've listed. I want to convene together a stakeholder working group that'll include not only, members of the stakeholder group that prepared this plan, but also members of our community development department, as well as representatives from our COC, so that we can all come to a collaborative effort around these recommendations, the prioritization of these recommendations in terms of what moves first, but then also making sure that whatever ends up being a part of the comprehensive housing plan, which we're recommending that this becomes incorporated into that plan, is actually operational, fiscally responsible, and legally permissible. So I anticipate there are going to be a number of different pathways for us to kind of get to the end goal in regards to all of this. The recommendations that they put forward, just on their surface, you can't say, well, this seems like a bad idea. They all seem like great ideas, but we just need to make sure that they're integrated within the comprehensive housing plan and that we can actually implement the recommendations in a reasonable time, that they presented. So that's essentially the gist of the changes that I've made here. It allows for us to form and convene that working group, that I mentioned. It allows us an opportunity to really figure out what are the best pathways forward, and it makes sure that whatever gets lifted up out of this plan gets incorporated into the comprehensive housing plan. That's really going to serve as our guidepost and our North Star for all housing opportunities throughout DeKalb going forward for the next several years.
Thank you so much. And I believe that several, and I guess maybe Director Mitchell could confirm this, several members of the stakeholder group are members of the continuum of care. So I'm delighted to hear that you're going to continue this conversation, but with a broader group. And just to confirm and make sure everybody understands, the ultimate goal is to finalize this plan and then feed it up into the broader comp plan.
Absolutely.
And be woven into that, so that we make sure we have everything under one umbrella, if you will, and we don't have our unhoused plan dangling over here and another plan dangling over there.
Yeah,
okay, fantastic.
Exactly. We want to proceed, with one comprehensive housing plan, really touching all areas, for DeKalb County. And so the notion is to avoid really kind of different standalone plans,
and
making sure that we're having a coordinated effort around all of our activities.
Awesome. Director Mitchell?
I'm excited because we got a chance to participate, and that's the most exciting thing about it. My team is here, and you're right, people on the committee were a part of the COC, but we think that a lot of the subject matter experts were not listened to attentively, so I think when we bring that to bear, we all get excited about being able to come together, and I think the end product will be great. So I'm in agreement with what Alan said, and I'm in agreement with the recommendations so far. Thank you.
Well, thank you, gentlemen, for supporting the recommendations. I truly appreciate it, and again, accept all of your amended changes to the substitute as well as the sections that you removed. Great wisdom behind it. Thank you. Yield back, ma'am.
Yes, thank you so much, Commissioner Long-Spears. Commissioner Patrick?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Just for clarity, you guys are good moving forward?
Excuse me?
You're good moving forward
Yes.
with this? Okay.
Commissioner Terry?
Oh, apologies. Earlier today, Commissioner Terry asked to be a co-sponsor, Madam Chair, so if we could add that to the to the item, that'd be great. Thank you.
So do you have anything, Commissioner Terry?
And I'm good with the substitute. Yes, thank you.
All right. Fantastic. Just appreciate you guys' wisdom, your effort, your input, and you guys are the experts, so I'm always going to look to you for us to make sure we're doing things that are impactful, and so I'm appreciative that we were able to get through it and go through it and get to yes in a productive way. And with that, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
I'll second with just one quick follow-up comment.
Yes, sir.
All right. This is an idea I've had for a while, and it doesn't fit into the broad goals that you have right here. But what I've noticed with a lot of the homeless is some of them will have access to a cell phone, and many do not. If there was a way that we could have old county cell phones that are not going to be used for anything else, we're not giving them a data service plan, but they would have access to Wi-Fi where they could then contact family members. That would be a suggestion if when you guys are working through ideas, if I could throw that out there.
We're going to make you a co-sponsor, too. It sounds like an amendment to me, a substitute. But no, I think that's a great idea, actually. I really do. And it allows for a communication of the unhoused with family and others. And, the need, because sometimes they even need to get 911, right, when they have an emergency. So I think that's a great idea.
Yep.
All right. There you go. With that, we got a first and a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. Thank you, gentlemen, for all of your hard work.
Thank you all.
And patience.
Thank you, committee.
Thank you. The next, we have a status update from Community Academy 101. And I thank you so much all for your patience in trying to get through this agenda. I appreciate you so much.
Hello, hello. Hi, Commissioners. Nice to see you all again. My name is Eva Chavot. I am a planner with Planning Sustainability, the Long Range Division, and I'm here with...
My name is LaSonia Marshall. I'm the lead for the DeKalb Community Academy. And what we're here today to automatically give you an update on what we're doing as far as the video. We will show what DeKalb Community Academy is all about.
Fantastic. Let's go.
Imagine having the power to shape the future of your neighborhood. In DeKalb County, you do. The Community Academy 101 program gives residents the tools, knowledge, and confidence to step up and make a difference right where they live.
The Community 101 Academy is important because DeKalb is entering a period of unprecedented growth. It's important that residents understand the various types of land uses and how they affect our communities.
At its core, this program is about building bridges between government and community, between vision and implementation.
In our agenda, you'll get a good glimpse of exactly what type of services we provide in our department for the community.
Just an amazing opportunity for the community to get educated and involved and learn about the process in government.
And now the Academy is expanding its reach, offering tailored training for residents in unincorporated DeKalb County.
It's about making sure that you have the information necessary so that you can understand how what we do, particularly in planning and sustainability, impacts you and your neighborhood.
The Academy gives dedicated community members inside knowledge about services offered through the DeKalb County Department of Planning and Sustainability.
This Academy helps us to inform DeKalb residents on our comprehensive planning efforts and the various types of density. Our long-range plan is key to manifesting the future development we desire. Every resident is a stakeholder, so let's build our communities together.
This program is an opportunity for you, for our citizens, our residents, to engage with DeKalb County on everything from roads to housing to zoning matters. This is a program, a tool where we can hear from you.
From zoning and building permits to supporting neighborhood groups, DeKalb's Planning and Sustainability Department ensures development is smart, sustainable, and forward-thinking.
This is an opportunity for us to educate, engage, and empower you as citizens to do the things you know that you deserve to live a better quality of life.
Through the Community Academy 101, you'll discover practical ways to strengthen your neighborhood using the tools you already have.
This is almost like a Civics 101 from back in high school, but better. This tells you what's happening real time within the county.
Bring the community together so that they can have a greater understanding about what planning and sustainability actually does.
This is really about the future of DeKalb coming together to make sure that we see what we want to see happen, not only now, but also for the next generation.
DeKalb County's Community Academy 101 program is looking for you to make this a thriving community, a great economy, and a place that you can call home.
Ready to get involved? Find out when and where Community Academy 101 is happening and how you can join in. Call 404-371-2155 or email plansustain@DeKalbCountyGA.gov. Community Academy 101, a bridge for community empowerment, education, and action.
I think that is Emmy worthy. How about you all? Oscars, Emmys, all of that.
I don't know if y'all remember actually probably doing that, but it has been a while since we have filmed it. But we just want to give y'all an update on what we're actually doing with DeKalb Community Academy and how it's grown. Our goals are still the same. We're still elaborating on the work being done to educate and empower DeKalb County residents. We're still engaging with community members through interactive and collaborative activities, and we're still producing strategies and recommendations for implementation based on priorities. So this tailoring, this trained tailoring program, or this training that has been tailored to residents to teach them about DeKalb County Planning Sustainability has not changed either. We're still working on ensuring that we are driving individuals to empower themselves and the community around them through long and short-term goals. And Lasagna, do you want to talk about the purpose a little bit?
Yes, the purpose that we, with the Academy, is to educate our residents. And most of all, get them engaged in different activities that we have in activities during that time. And most of all, empowering them. And by empowering them is making their community a better community. So
Yeah, so our program objectives have not changed either. We're still working on economic development, planning process education, pedestrian improvements, and cultivating community engagement. And we do this through choosing community districts, which are based on the high school boundaries. We also host 4 meetings, so that's 2 steering committee meetings and 2 public meetings, and those are interchangeable throughout the course of 6 months. And then finally, once we've actually concluded the Community Academy, we select an ambassador for each community district that we go through, and then we follow up with them throughout the year through trainings, and then they can choose to implement the recommendations that they've already come up with through an action plan, et cetera. But we'll get into that a little bit later as well.
just to give you an update, we have completed McNair Community, Redan Community, as well as Columbia. And we're currently now in Towers. And with being in Towers, we have completed the steering committee in the Towers community. And we have 14 more communities to go, so we're working on it.
So just a quick overview of all of our program successes. In Q2 of 2025, we started selecting ambassadors for completed community districts. So we started this process last year. And then we presented to PECS. I don't know if you guys remember seeing us, but Q3 presented to PECS. And we're able to start our engagement in the Redan area and then completed that in late 2025, early 2026. And that is also when we released our official ambassador handbook and Community 101 guidebook, which is sitting in front of you in that packet, or it should be. And then we're also now preparing for Towers going into 2026, 2027, and building on new programming strategies.
Giving you a gist of what the Community 101 booklet is that you have in front of you. So what we're doing is the expecting program timeline. You'll see that as well. I'm sorry. You'll also how to make the priorities matrix. Also, you will see the activation steps of the methodology and cases that we have done within Redan as well as the Columbia. We have the ambassador program, which we have already started. It was the orientation that we had, and the ambassador booklet. This is the experience in which the goals in which the ambassador has to do. And you will see ambassador expectations, steps on how building action plan, as well as a quarterly timeline meeting with them as well.
So we want to first and foremost thank you guys so much for all the work and effort that you guys have put into Community Academy, behind the scenes as well, just promoting it in general. We have seen a lot of growth from this. So in Columbia, our final public meeting had 24 participants, but then when we went to Redan recently, we had 55. So that's a pretty big jump, especially for public engagement on this level. So we really appreciate it. Our visitor summary for DeKalb Community Academy and Ambassador webpage has grown exponentially as well, and we're seeing those numbers slowly tick up. So more people are becoming aware of this, and we cannot thank you guys enough again and again and again for promoting this on your engagement, newsletters, etc. So thank you guys so much. Just to go over the data gathering and methodology, this is kind of what we do with the community members. We do in-person activities, so this can range from mapping, workbooks, table activities, forums that are supported by SWOT data. This is the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats data, and then the community input. We also do online engagement, so we operate primarily through Engage DeKalb, which is the planning sustainability website that we have, through online surveys, as well as our ArcGIS story maps. We do this for each individual community district. The 101 guidebook and marketing channels, well, I'll go over marketing channels first, but marketing channels, we use newsletters, DCTV, and online news outlets, and so much more. We're still trying to expand those marketing channels. And then officially our 101 guidebook, which is going to be the cohesive direction that we take with Community 101, and that is going to allow us to build on strategies that can be replicated and followed not just in DeKalb County but throughout the region. So to talk about the new programming, we're adding 3 new things. In addition to our community workbook and SWOT analysis, we're adding a pedestrian infrastructure analysis, playground programming, and complete street test. And so these will actually help enhance the community priorities, those being built on community feedback. So going into the new programming, I'll just briefly go over these, but the pedestrian infrastructure analysis will offer more input on the visible conditions of a community and what intersection strategies can be offered. The playground programming will focus on 4 key community groups, that being children and youth, transit-dependent individuals, small businesses, and elderly residents. And then the complete street test will design a score, is designed to score major and minor arterials within a community so we can actually determine whether or not it can become a complete street. So, Lasagna, do you want to give us a quick recap of priorities?
Yes, I can. So the priorities with Columbia that we found out as their priorities were the economic development, the pedestrian infrastructures, the communication and education, and most of all, building a network.
Yeah, right.
With Redan priorities, we found that they came up with urban health, commercial growth, workforce development, and safe streets. And as for towers, since we have already just begun in towers, and from the steering committee was revitalization, community activation, transit orientation development, and multimodal infrastructure.
And I just want to quickly introduce our 2026 community ambassadors. These are all posted on Engage DeKalb, a little bit more information about them. But we have Shelly Basin from McNair. She is a project manager and has been in the community for a very long time, and she has a lot of experience in civic engagement as well. Jania Dix for Columbia, who's a strategist and real estate specialist, and then Mara Wright with Redan, an architectural designer with 21 years of experience, who has also been in this community for a very long time. But we've selected these 3 individuals to be essentially our pilot for our pilot cohort for the 2026 community ambassadors for these 3 communities. So we're extremely grateful to them, and we're looking forward to what they do. So thank you, guys.
Thank you. You guys are making us all excited. We all have smiles. It's been a long day, but we are up here smiling, so that means you guys are doing phenomenal. It's hard to get us all smiling up here. I want to also invite Mr. Washington to come to the podium, if he wouldn't mind, sir, because I know that he has been extremely instrumental in all of this taking place, and has been no short of amazing with the work that you all are doing. And I know that it takes, a team, and it takes a village to get done. So I think that you should be here as well, and I appreciate you coming to the podium.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Yes. Go ahead. So if you'd like to speak to it.
They are doing an amazing job. There's nothing else I need to add to it. I commend them on the work that they're doing. They're working very hard, and they will be in every district in the county. So we're excited about that, and we're excited about the feedback that we'll be getting back from the community, and the recommendations that we'll get back to be able to implement and make them more tangible. And then not only that, it's teaching how to shoulder responsibility. It just doesn't lie on the county, but it's a shoulder responsibility that they take ownership as well. So we're excited about educating our community, and then they can come before the board more educated and informed, and be able to petition the government for what they want. So I'll turn it back over to you.
I completely appreciate that and agree. And I'm going to need, I'll just say, we're probably all going to need some of the ambassador handbook and also community guides, so that we can be able to disperse them as well during our events that we're having throughout the county, so that our constituents can have it. So Commissioner Patrick?
I feel like I've come to my people. You guys are awesome. Like everything you said, I was like, that's it. That's what you do. That's how you build a community. That's how you get engagement. The fact that you guys are having sort of a high school platform approach seems very, very sharp to me. One comment would be is because District 1 is heavily municipalized, and I don't think there's a high school specifically in unincorporated District 1. It might be in District 4 and District 2. Perhaps maybe some type of engagement with the municipalities. I know the Board of Education is building a new high school in Doraville off of Aztec Road, and so that might be a good partnership to have with the city, as well as Dunwoody and Chamblee. They have their own high schools as well. This is fantastic. I didn't recognize that there was a guy with a bald face on there, and I didn't recognize him either. But, you know, you guys are fantastic. When I worked as a planner, what I felt people didn't realize was planning can set the comfort and safety levels within a community. You can say it's appropriate or not appropriate to have certain activities. Massage parlors were a big thing, a problem in Doraville and Norcross. Alcohol sales can be another issue, whether it's for restaurants or whether it's standalone liquor stores. And so, you know, even the location of a gas station on a corner can set the environment for an entire neighborhood. And that's the value that you guys do is get into those details and try and correct neighborhoods or keep neighborhoods on the right path. So thank you very much for what you do. When you're ready to come up to District 1, please, I'm ready and waiting for you all. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Patrick. Commissioner Terry?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Great job, y'all. Keep up the good work. You had me at Complete Streets, so keep on that that process. We're very suburban in DeKalb, so it's kind of hard to even think, are there any complete streets in DeKalb County? Maybe a few, maybe like Emory Village, and I'd look some of our cities probably because they have downtowns. Maybe the future Kensington might have a little bit of that flavor, but that's probably maybe the biggest challenge we have is, you know, car dependency and then trying to kind of shrink things a little bit so a complete street could be a viable option. I imagine moving forward in Community Academy 101 that you'll be getting more questions about like school closures, maybe?
Yes.
So I'm wondering, I'm hoping that some of the work the long range planning team is doing on, you know, cluster by cluster of where there are seat capacity gaps, and then sort of having some of that data about how many housing units, you know, would be needed and, you know, theoretically to fill those seats. Yeah. And I know Larry Washington and team are working on that for the Cedar Grove cluster as sort of a test case, but hopefully there can be kind of a template formula. So when you do go to other clusters, you know high school clusters, right?
Yes.
That if that comes up, you could just, you know, up front introduction say, you know, here's our analysis based on the school system's formula of how many units and what types equal how many students seats they need to prepare for. Just because I think part of the equation of what we're finding is there does need to be some additional housing in a lot of the clusters, because I think every cluster has school closings happening.
Yes.
So that'll be interesting to kind of, you know, just tease out and just have that data point. So as we move forward with the larger housing discussion, getting communities in the mindset that we're going to have to figure out multiple housing solutions. And thankfully, there are lots of different product types and configurations. And if we can get them to kind of help direct the type of housing products they want to see, it might help, you know, address those long-term growth issues for the neighborhood, but as well as the schools. And then the other question I had, what's your next community academy locations you're doing?
After Towers, it'll be Stevenson.
Stevenson, okay. And you're just doing like one at a time, basically?
Yes.
Yeah, we're trying to go through South DeKalb. It's like a snake motion almost.
Okay.
So that's what we're trying to do.
So do Stevenson, is it like every quarter?
It varies. It's like every 3 to 4 months it is. It takes us about that length to get through all the meetings and stuff.
We try to
get the data.
complete, yeah, we try to complete in 6 months. So that's
so maybe like 2 a year.
But
yes,
we're looking at trying to optimize it. That's kind of why we released the guidebook as well, is to help kind of optimize how we move through these communities without actually compromising that data gathering and that information resourcing. So.
Gotcha. Thank you. All right. Thanks, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry, again, and thank you all for being rock stars. Thank you for willing to listen to feedback and, you know, respect feedback and very much appreciate the work that you all are doing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
You as well.
Not unless you'd like to join us for the rest of the evening. No, just joke, all right? So thank you so much. That was informative and entertaining. Really appreciate it again from what the team is doing. Those following along with us, we're on the top of page 3 at this point under Board of Commissioners and their initiatives. And so for District 1, it is agenda item 2024-1237, all commission districts, a request for the Director of Planning Sustainability to amend the DeKalb County nuisance ordinance to add a closure of chronic nuisance properties ordinance chapter. And so Commissioner Patrick as the
Yes.
sponsor.
Is legal ready to speak to this yet?
All right. Uh-oh. Limp biscuit over here.
Yikes.
So, Commissioner, we have gone over these, and at this point, we believe that the only outstanding issue is the operational concerns from those who will have to implement it. So I would defer to them to go over in detail any concerns that they had.
Okay.
But I am confident that we have an item that we can approve as the form, provided there aren't any substantial tweaks to it for an operational consideration.
Okay. I'll tell you what, Zach, for our next one-on-one meeting, let's go ahead and plan to have these 2 items on the agenda, and then if there's any concerns from the administration or any final input from the administration, let's go ahead and have those taken care of, and then try and get these 2 items off the radar. Hopefully approved.
Yes.
For these 2 items, let me I'll make a motion to defer these for 30 days apiece. So, no? Okay. What would we like to do?
I'm sorry. As a sponsor, I respect the sponsor. Okay.
All right. Well, motion to defer for 30 days, agenda item 2024-1237 and 2024-1239.
All right, if we could just take them one by one, because I didn't read the other one out.
Okay.
All right, so 1237, if you like, I'd go ahead and read the other one out. That is agenda item 2024-1239. That's all commission districts, an ordinance to amend the code of DeKalb County, Georgia, as revised, the 1988, Chapter 18, Article 3, property maintenance to establish a minimum standards for vacant properties, require property owners to apply for a board-up permit and other purposes. And I'll just say briefly that this was one of the other items in terms of a board-up and properties that a constituent asked about. And I proudly shared that we actually have it on our agenda. So it's not something that we're just saying we're going to do something about, that we're actually working on diligently to try to get done. So thank you for that, sincerely.
Absolutely.
And Interim County Attorney Welsh, Terry, I'm sorry. Maybe it was the limp, I'm sorry.
I'm going to behave because it's late, Commissioner, no problem. Commissioner Patrick, I think this item fits the same status as the previous item. We have worked closely with Commissioner Patrick to identify one that we feel we could approve as the form, and any considerations would be operational considerations that we would defer to the administration. And we would hope that we wouldn't have to change anything, but there would be consideration on how they're going to actually implement proper monitoring and enforcement,
right,
which is ultimately the issue with these.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
All right, thank you so much. I apologize. I took a page from Mrs. Atwater's about 3 weeks ago, but I know you're going to get me back. That's okay. That's okay. So with that, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to defer 2024-1237 and 2024-1239 for 30 days.
We have a second. Myself. All those in favor?
Aye.
And just noting, Commissioner Long-Spears did have to leave, so it's myself and Commissioner Patrick as a committee, and of course, Commissioner Terry joining, along with the next agenda item still on page 3 of the Board of Commissioners, and that is Super District 6. That's agenda item 2025-0015, all commission districts, an ordinance to amend the Code of DeKalb County, Georgia, Chapter 16, specifically pertaining to the regulation of sound and for other purposes. Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have Mr. Michael Petty from the Law Department, who has worked with Attorney Welch and Phillips and others. And if you don't mind, give us the main point. You don't have to go through every single thing, but y'all have worked on this for many, I almost said years, but it's only been like 2 years. Mr. Petty, if you don't mind, would you just kind of give the main points as it relates to the daytime and the nighttime noise sort of regulation differences with decibels and in plainly audible? Because I think that's going to be the crux of what the policymaking is for the committee.
Good evening, Commissioner.
Oh, hit the mic. There you go.
Good evening, Commissioners. So we currently have a noise ordinance right now. It does not have any standards for the daytime hours. It has a standard for the nighttime hours. And that standard is if it's audible within a sealed building, which has been, I think, difficult thing to enforce at times because the officer has to go into the building. So this amendment to this noise ordinance would establish daytime sound levels, which would be 65 decibels during the day, and then at night the standard would be audible at 100 feet from the source of the sound. So those are the sort of the main points. I can certainly answer any questions or go over anything else you'd like, but those are the main issues.
Yeah, thanks, Attorney Petty. Thank you for all your work on this, and I know you've been reaching out to Athens-Clarke County for kind of like seeing how because they've done a similar update, moving away from decibels to plainly audible across the board.
Yeah, for a while, they have had the plainly audible standard in Athens. So when I worked there before I worked here, and so it was there then, which was several years ago. Yeah. But I think they're looking at it now, but they do use that plainly audible standard at night and in the daytime.
The daytime. So Commissioners, the main policy thing that we're still grappling with, but at this point, we just need to bring it to y'all to get your input, is one, we do believe in Zach, and Police Chief Patrick is here. So one of the biggest issues when it comes to nighttime noise is someone having an officer come into their house to see if the noise from a party house or something is audible. And so that's been a big barrier between actually enforcing it. So the one change that we feel like actually hopefully has department approval is an officer can simply just go out to the property and within that 100 feet can just make a determination themselves from the property line. And so that would sort of maybe hopefully allow DeKalb Police after hours when code compliance are not available to enforce the noise ordinance for loud party noises after 11 p.m. Sunday through Thursday and then midnight Friday and Saturday. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. The other more controversial portion is the daytime noises, which really come to two main things we've heard complaints about. One is basically leaf blowers being really loud. And then we do have a couple complaints from neighbors of neighbors basically yelling all day long and producing human sound to the point where it's become sort of an extreme nuisance. And there doesn't appear to be anything in the code that allows during the daytime a human-produced noise to be enforced. And I can send you the videos if you really want to listen to them. So apparently that this is happening. I don't think it's widespread, but we do have a couple of neighbors, I think in District 3, District 6, Commissioner Messiah, who have asked for us to do something to address an individual in particular. But the issue I think that we're coming across is that in the daytime, the way it's currently written is anything above 65 decibels. And Zach, I think and Director Clark's here too. I think the main issue we've discussed is the enforcement of the decibels involving having a decibel meter calibrated, and then able for code compliance that operates during the day to use it effectively, and then be trained and et cetera. So that's where we're kind of stuck at.
And staff's preference was that plainly audible.
Yeah, no, I know that is true, and I'm okay to, honestly, I'm fine to like go in that direction if that's what staff prefers. I will note that in the data center ordinance, we've laid out regulations for decibels. So if we do go into that plainly audible, we might just need to make sure that those align and we're not, having, because there's other parts of the code, right, Mr. Petty, that have decibels. I think construction noises and other things that do have decibel limits.
Yeah, in industrial zones, I believe, is the place where it has decibel limits.
Okay, but we're not changing that in here because we weren't contemplating going to plainly audible across the entire enforcement of the noise ordinance. But this is really, again, for the committee to kind of opine on about what direction you think we ought to go. And I think, as Mr. Petty pointed out, Athens-Clarke County moved to plainly audible across day and nighttime noise a year ago, or maybe more, 2 years ago.
It's been like that for a while. They've had it for a long time.
And apparently it's working out well for them.
Yeah.
So there's one jurisdiction that I think has had, success with it. So I'm open to having it be just plainly audible across the board if the decibel meters is something we want to move away from. So happy to yield back if there's any thoughts and questions from the committee members.
All right, just wanting to see if Mr. Petty or COO or Director Clark have anything to share, or Chief Pedrick, because I think any policy, any rule, any law is only as good as your ability to enforce it. And to the extent we don't have clear-cut mechanism to enforce, then that presents a challenge. And so it sounds like there will be a lot of discretionary there. I appreciate having, a general idea in terms of, the definition of audible and having it plainly audible versus the idea that we've got that it needs to register at a particular decibels, not unless we're going to outfit our code compliance and our officers with the capacity to be able to actually measure it. If we're not going to provide them the mechanism to be able to do that, then they have to rely on their own interpretation, and that is really subjective as to what's plainly audible. But I'm open to additional thoughts that the rest of the committee has. What I don't want to do, and I could appreciate very much, because to your point, Commissioner Cherry, there are constituents that complain about noises, and some folks are just bad neighbors and don't consider the peace and enjoyment of others. But in our role and responsibility in terms of putting something forth, I want to make sure we're not complicating and creating more challenges than what we have the capacity to really resolve. So I'll open it up to Commissioner Patrick if you have anything additional that you want to add as well.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. As I've said before in the past, the noise ordinances are difficult because it's truly neighbors are at their wits' end already, and then the government comes in and tries to make it better, and we don't always do that. Do you guys, or can you get us sort of maybe a year or two's worth of data on noise complaints and give us a breakdown for time of day? I'm just trying to see how widespread this issue or this pain is that we want to come in with another solution that we're going to be sort of changing parameters for other communities that may not necessarily have been having the concerns that are mentioned.
And then, and I'm sorry, while you're adding to that really quickly, Commissioner Patrick, while we're talking about adding to that and considering, there is an option for a civilian to sue someone as a tort for a nuisance in terms of violation of quiet title and enjoyment. So where they're creating a nuisance by the constant noise, there's, I mean, famous cases in terms of, pollution, air pollution, and there's noise. And so there is a remedy in terms of someone suing their neighbor if they so chose to for violating their capacity to enjoy their home because of a nuisance, right? That noise nuisance. So I just want to also make sure that we are not reinventing the wheel and creating, an ordinance that already exists by matter of law through a remedy of a civil suit, particularly where we don't have a real remedy and mechanism of enforcement, unless we're saying we're going to find them, and then we got to think a lot further past that. But there's a remedy presently, right? And I'll defer to legal, about that. Can't our civilians sue their neighbors, sue someone if they're in violation of their quiet enjoyment and peace through noises?
I think you're right about that. I don't know what the standard is for the civil action as far as noise goes.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, if I could
yes, go right ahead.
bring some wisdom of Robert Frost. Good fences make good neighbors, and there's always the legal option, but I would hope we wouldn't encourage everyone to run to the courts every time there's an issue, and we somehow have to make it work together. So I guess just going back to my original quest of just the data, maybe for the last 2 years on noise complaints in general would be helpful.
Take a look, see what we can pull from police records and/or code enforcement in terms of the number of noise complaint calls and whatever the data shows.
And then in particular to what Commissioner Terry mentioned, time of day I think would be another concern.
Sure.
Again, working in a permit office, when you have new construction, the crews of people out there building a new house, grading the land, planning in the landscaping can be very noisy, can be very loud, and can be irritating. I've dealt with builders who had issues up in Sandy Springs, and neighbors were very aggressive, 7 o'clock, not 6:58 in the morning, and the code enforcement was there and was issuing tickets. And so I want to do whatever we can to not create that kind of adversarial atmosphere between neighbors and builders or anything that's going to be happening in communities. And I guess that extends also to the landscapers. My other concern would be, how does this impact the airport? Because I know we already receive, the airport already has their noise monitoring and noise reporting mechanisms in place. And we've had situations where 5 people have reported like 815 complaints in a month. And so I just want us to be very cognitive of what we're getting into. And it may be moving away from the decibels that sort of I had seen from Norcross and Doraville as good ways to address the issue. But I would lead a little more information on the audible noise standard if this means a side conversation or perhaps a Zoom meeting we set up and you guys walk me through that. I would appreciate that. And then the final question, as always, and this is true for any noise ordinance that comes out, is the enforcement component. So, again, in the municipalities I've worked in, it was the police department that was responsible for that. And I would, public safety is sort of the priority that it is for safety in the neighborhoods. And so I'm not sure what the prioritization is on the police department from public safety issues to neighborly complaints. And I'm not sure if there are any solutions as someone else that can enforce this aside from the police officers, or if that's the community service worker agents that we have. I'm very open to that conversation, but I would want to get more data on it before I sort of move forward and say, I get it, and this is the direction that I think we want to move in. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Terry.
Thank you. On page 8 of the ordinance, section 16308, there are several exclusions. Number 6 is aircraft operations. I know there's like 17 exclusions, so there's a lot of noises out there that just come with society, right? Like, we're not talking about public safety sirens or they even have protests in March are not covered by the noise ordinance. So you can go out and protest and make a little noise. Says animal vocalization, which are given as a warning to the presence of an intruder. So y'all definitely did kind of think about all the layers of things that, you know, we wouldn't want to crack down on, like noisy things. But the main two things that we're really dealing with in this ordinance revision is party noises at night, because we've heard from the police department, they just, most people do not want them to come into their home, and so they can't actually do anything, maybe other than just tell the neighbor, hey, you're being too loud. So the enforcement, at least on the party time, nighttime noises, has been an issue. The only issue that I see that, and this is where we just need some direction from the commissioners, because we have decibel levels in the existing ordinance, and we do not have decibel meters. So the existing ordinance for code compliance, quite frankly, can't even be enforced now because we just don't have decibel meters. They're not calibrated. There's no one in charge of that. So it's at some point we have to just decide, we have a law on the books, we can't even enforce it, so we either need to like go get decibel meters and put someone in charge of calibrating them and making sure they're working, or we need to go to plainly audible and give that a try. So that's what I'm looking for here. Those are kind of diverging policy approaches. Mr. Petty, I think we'll get back with Athens-Clarke County with more details, hopefully from them, about specifically how it's working for them and is it enforceable with the plainly audible. Right.
And I've spoken with them.
Oh, you did? You already did?
Yes.
Okay, so they're still good with it?
They're still good with it. They've had some minor issues, but from my conversations, they think that the decibel standard would be more difficult to enforce.
More difficult, okay.
Yeah.
So, and I don't want to like belabor the point, but commissioners, if y'all could just think about those two questions, right? One, let's change the nighttime noise for police. And I know Chief Patrick's here, so he might want to just comment on that
Yes,
briefly.
and that's what I was going to ask him next.
Yeah. And then the second question is, do we stick with decibel or do we go to plainly audible? And if we can get a kind of a consensus on that, that'll help the law department sort of put the fine touches on this ordinance, and then we'd have something sort of ready for decision.
Just for clarity, what we have in our agenda packet is something dated 12/17/24. Is that the most current version we're working off of?
It should be the first page, 3/25/25, I think. Is that the most recent?
Yeah, I believe that there was a substitute.
Oh, there was a substitute.
There was one. The original was from that December date, but then there was a substitute.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's make sure we get the substitute. I know we made a couple changes, but it hasn't changed that much.
No, it wasn't significant.
So we'll make sure if you can send around to the most recent substitute.
Okay.
Mr. Petty.
And Madam Chair, if I could, just wanted to add to what we were talking about when you brought up the issue of the civil action. You're right about that, and I think these would be totally separate. They're not mutually exclusive, so that you could go through both of them. I think the point of an ordinance like this is to be to respond more quickly, right? So something that you were taking somebody to civil court in, it might drag out for a while. This could possibly be something that you address it that night when you're having the party noises, for example, would allow police to address it immediately.
Yeah, and I think the point is to just make it stop when those noises are taking place. People just want it to stop and not happen again. But I would love to be able to hear, excuse me, from Chief Patrick and from Director Clark, because again, all our efforts are great, but we have to have a mechanism to enforce and to be able to address the standing issues on the table posed by Commissioner Terry. So welcome, Chief Patrick. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. And yes, I believe this journey started at about 2019 when I was the Uniform Division Commander, when we started looking at this, and I was heavily involved back then, and we had polled multiple different agencies and looked at their noise ordinance and their enforcement mechanisms that they had, and we did land finally on Athens-Clarke County. It's University of Georgia, a lot of the parties. From a police perspective, that's what we are looking at on the noise enforcement side. We get multiple calls, and in many cases, neighbors, like Commissioner Terry said, they don't want us in their house. First of all, not so much because it's police, but they don't want the neighbor to know that they called on them and then have retaliation on that side as well. So that creates a enforcement barrier for us. The decibel meters, we don't have them. they're different industry standards, they're calibration standards. It's not cost effective for the amount of noise complaints we have to outfit an entire department with the decibel meters, then pay for the calibration, the maintenance, and so on and so forth. So we were looking at another way to address this, and it is the plainly audible, and we have found that Athens-Clarke County has been successful with those. Again, it is going to be discretionary, and in most cases, depending on the complaint location, depending on the response that the officers get, it may simply be a warning. But then we can escalate that, just like officers have that, jurisdictional authority or that leeway to enforce as they need to, but they would still have to have the probable cause and meet the legal standards to enforce it.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. And Director Clark, do you have more that you would like to add and share?
Yes, good afternoon, Commissioners.
Good afternoon.
In reference to the number of noise complaints we receive, we don't receive a lot of noise complaints, compared to the grand scheme of all the complaints that we do get. However, those noise complaints are the most difficult to resolve because of the time of day that they happen. If it's during the day, currently we don't have the decibel meters in place, and there are different standards for daytime noise versus nighttime noise. Our officers stop working at 7 p.m. And so after 7 p.m., PD goes out. They can't enforce until after a certain time. I think it's 10:59 p.m., 11 p.m. And so there's a disconnect in what we can do. And what we find is those cases drag out. It's where you have the most dissatisfied neighbors because they can't get a resolution to the noise, and we're spinning our wheels, trying to even get a case. When we go out there, like for example, we have Fraser Road and some of the others where we actually visit those properties 3 times a week on the weekend. Our last visit to those properties is 7 p.m. before we leave. And so the officers, we assign them to visit the property and then head home. And we never, catch them in the act. It's almost like they know we're coming at that time because they figured it out. And then the minute we leave, at about 8, 9 o'clock, then the police department, again, those complaints coming in. They go out, and still it's not as easy to enforce. So we are able to, even with the plain and audible, enforce the code. We have measuring wheels. We have different tools in place to where we can actually go 100 feet away from the source of the noise, or the ordinance also stipulates for during the day 300 feet away. And so we have measuring tools that if we can observe the noise at that distance, then we'll be able to enforce. And so we will more likely catch those that are between 8:30 a.m. and 7 p.m. Monday through Saturday, and then that relieves the burden from the police department. However, if it's noise associated with criminal activity where we need to radio and have PD comes, then we'll do that, and they'll assist us in that manner. So we will probably do the heavy lifting during the day, and then our partners in the police department will do the heavy lifting at night.
That makes a lot of sense. I appreciate you both for sharing that and giving us that insight. And what I'm hearing is the plainly audible standard is going to most likely be easier for both of your officers to be able to enforce. And I love that you guys would work in tandem to address it, and giving them a mechanism outside of neighbors suing each other. Let me just say, I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying in terms of, there are remedies that are available, but thank you so much for your input. I think it's really helpful. With that, are there any other questions or concerns? Anything else that you all would like to share?
Well, I might just, because Athens-Clarke County has had pretty good success with it, again, I think the nature of these complaints seems like, definitely support warnings first, but ultimately, it might be a case before the magistrate court, right? Like if it's actually given a citation, and so hopefully that's sort of where we can begin to, I guess, further tease out the true standards of what's like an egregious sort of noise making versus, you know, like you said, Commissioner Patrick, like a neighbor just is mad at a neighbor, and you know they'll just report anything, right?
Yep.
And I think we should be prepared to try something different and see how it goes. And if it looks like it's not working out, you know, come up with something different. But I think the fact that we just can't even enforce the existing ordinance because we just don't have the equipment means we should just go in a different direction, give that a try, and see how far we go and see if it works. So that might be my suggestion, is if y'all could just think about the plainly audible policy, unless there's like huge heartburn around it.
Well,
or thoughts, concerns.
Respectfully, you know, there were some parties happening on McElroy Road. Lots of noise was being generated. Some folks were trying to go to sleep. Some folks were having a good time, no officers arrived. And so, regardless of whether you're on decibels or any other standard, I still need to understand how we get to the enforcement component on it. So and Chief, I'm willing to talk with you, and Tonza as well, willing to talk with y'all, but I just need to understand how are we going to engage and actually be effective in this new ordinance. And then also, you know, some ideas on the data of how frequent we get these complaints and times a day that we get these complaints would be helpful for me, and then I'm able to make a better decision at that point. Because I get where you're coming from, but those 2 points are things, enforcement in particular has always been the issue.
Yeah.
That I just want to get some understanding on how what's the plan for the interaction, for the engagement on those topics. So, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Appreciate that, Commissioner Patrick. Yeah, and you know, even if we went the plainly audible route, I think there would need to be some training and at least some general consensus with support, because I don't believe in, you know, putting training without putting a mechanism of support for that training, including financial backing as to what that would look like in a structure or organization, because it is in terms of what's plainly audible, how well do you hear? All right, and so, you know, I think to come to some general consensus of what that sounds like, literally, what it may be helpful and some things in place in order to give some direction. But clearly, we have a few more things to sort of flush through as it relates to this. So with that, I will entertain a motion.
Motion to defer for 30 days, is that?
Yeah, if y'all don't mind getting with the directors, the chief and director, just if they could meet with the committee members to just share what changes y'all would like to see. Honestly, I mean, I started out with doing like leaf blowers. I was just trying to get some leaf blower ordinance, but then they changed the state law that said we couldn't regulate leaf blowers. And then we kind of scratched the surface, and then that's when Director Clark and Chief Patrick were like, actually, now that you're talking about it, here are some things that could really help us out. So if y'all don't mind, just share what is going to help make y'all do your job in the most efficient, effective way possible. And if we can just work together to, you know, create an ordinance that, like Commissioner Patrick says, can be enforced, can be upheld, and, you know, I think also considering where it ends up in the court at some point, and how that actually would go about. Something that is enforceable, but also I think could withstand a court discussion as well. So yeah, 30 days is good if that's enough time for y'all.
Okay. All right.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you so much. And we are on our last agenda item. I was trying to get us out by 6, but we're going to a little further here. Agenda item, again, from Board of Commissioners, Super District 6, 2025-0017. All commission districts, a resolution to create an electric landscape maintenance device rebate program to encourage switching from gas-powered landscape maintenance devices and for all other purposes.
And I'll just share very quickly these are 2 companion items, because if we do sort of go in the route of quieter landscape equipment, the electrical landscape equipment is quieter by about 30 decibels on average. So the goal here, in sort of replication of other jurisdictions who have actually banned gas leaf blowers, is to provide rebates for people to basically trade in their gas-powered leaf blower for an electric one. And so that, if we went forward with the changes on the previous item, then my proposal would be to provide some support each year for rebates, kind of how we do for the low-flow toilet rebates. It helps us out. So the idea there is just to help individuals who might be in the landscape business, might be a homeowner, and they'd like to get a quieter leaf blower, quieter equipment. They can apply for these rebates. We put about $100,000 was just sort of the fiscal impact annually. So that's, of course, up for debate in any budget year. But happy to defer that one since it's related to the other ordinance.
All right, so what I'm understanding is, since it's a companion to the previous item, that you are willing as a sponsor to support a deferment for 30 days.
Yes.
With that, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Well, thank you guys so much for being here and staying late at PECS. I got us out at 6:02. Close enough to 6 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon, your evening. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.